Here is one fact about every Kanto Pokémon. Excluding Regional Variants and alternate forms, they'll have their own video. In Gen 2, Bulbasaur had Charm as an egg move. However, none of Bulbasaur's parents could actually know Charm. Ivysaur supposedly can't stand on hind legs due to their bulb's weight, and yet they have a sprite with them on their hind legs. During an interview, Ken Sugimori stated that while he likes Venusaur is one of his least favorite Pokémon to draw. Charmander used to have a back spike, as shown in their Gen 1 arc. Charmeleon's attitude in the anime may be explained through Dex entries, where they all talk about how barbaric Charmeleon can be. During Gen 4 development, Charizard was gonna have gender differences, with the females only having one horn instead of two. Squirtle was going to be the starter Ash was originally going to choose. Wartortle was originally going to evolve into another Pokemon. Blastoise was one of the first Pokemon officially designed, as shown in this concept art of Beta Blastoise battling Staryu. Caterpie was actually banned from VGC in 2018, all due to a glitch where String Shot would soft lock the game. Metapod will actually use Harden in their sleep. Between Bye Bye Butterfree and the end of Pokemon Journeys, Ash and Butterfree spent about 25 years apart before reuniting. Weedle is the only Pokemon who cannot learn any normal type moves. Kakuna used to have arms in their old sprite and artwork, and they may still have them as implied by some Dex entries. While Ash failed to catch a Weedle in Challenge of the Samurai, he later caught Beedrill in a bug catching contest, only to give them away. In X and Y, your first encounter will always be a level 3 Keen-Eyes Pidgey. In Yellow and Let's Go, there's underleveled Pidgeotto in Viridian Forest, a nod to Ash's Pidgeotto and an explanation for Faulkner's Pidgeotto. Of Ash's OG squad, Pidgeot took the longest to evolve with 78 episodes. Youngster Joey's Rattata has 0 and all IVs and a gentle nature. Raticate is the Pokemon owned by Ash for the shortest amount of time, only being his Pokemon for one episode before being traded back. As shown in the anime, Spearow are actually colorblind. In the Electric Tail of Pikachu, Ash actually caught a Fearow. Ekans used to have yellow rings in their original artwork. According to recent Dex entries, Arbok has over 20 patterns. Nintendo of America originally wanted to change some Pokemon designs. In particular, they wanted Pikachu to be changed into, and I quote, a tiger with huge breasts, like a character from the musical Cats. This was said by Tsunekazu Ishihara, the CEO of the Pokemon Company, though according to some, this may have referred to a muscular design. According to Pokemon Yellow, Raichu can glow in the dark. Sandshrews' body can absorb drinking water without wasting any. Sandslash's spikes fall out annually, only to regrow soon after. The female Nidoran have a better sense of smell than the males. Nidorina losing the ability to breed was actually canonized before Gen 2, where it was stated in the Japanese Pokédex book. In the Japanese Red and Green, Nidoqueen only weighs 6 kilograms and not 60. Nidoran male's base stat total is 2 less points than Nidoran female. Nidorino's cry in the Red and Blue intro is actually Nidorina's cry. It's actually possible to have a level 100 Nidoking before Brock. It involves manipulating the game to spawn a level 1 Nidoking, and because of how weird Nidoking's experience group works in Gen 1, one level up will instantly get Nidoking to level 100. Clefairy was originally planned to be the Pokemon mascot before Pikachu. Clefable's original English name was going to be Ariela. Vulpix almost got a pre-evolution in Gen 2, then again in Gen 4. Ninetales didn't always have orange on the tips of their tails. It's widely speculated that the Jigglypuff from the anime is shiny. Guildmaster Wigglytuff is male in Explorers, but then is female in Super. Alpha Zubat and Legends Arceus don't glow since they don't have eyes. Golbat and their evolution line are still the only poison flying types. And animation on Pokemon's YouTube is based on Oddish's Dex entries. Gloom is the only Pokemon with 2 types who loses a type upon evolution. Apparently, Vileplume has the biggest petals in the world. Paris was gonna have a pre-evolution, whose reference in Azalea Town. Dead Parasect without the mushroom can occasionally be found. Ethan apparently looks like a Venonat from behind. Venomoth used to have yellow spots on their wings. Diglett is the true first Pokemon, being sketched long before Red and Blue. Dugtrio is immune to the move Telekinesis. Meowth's speech ability in the anime prevents him from learning moves. In Gen 1, Persian using Slash has a 99.6% chance to land a critical hit. We actually almost got Let's Go Psyduck instead of Let's Go Eevee, but the idea was scrapped since Psyduck is yellow like Pikachu. Golduck duck will paddle their webbed feet in their sleep. If one Mankey in a colony gets angry, the rest will also get angry. Primate will stay angry in their sleep, but can rarely be seen calm. In Gen 1, Growlithe can be a Thunderstone, having the same hex value. You just gotta send Growlithe out before the Pokemon you wanna evolve. According to Dex entries, Arcanine is considered a legendary in China. In the Adventures manga, Poliwag was actually Red's starter. A Karen Pastor once said that Poliwhirl was originally called Hypno, but Poliwhirl's original English name was actually Aquanaut. Poliwrath's beta design wore a crown, which may have inspired Politoed. Abra sleeps for 18 hours and can teleport in their sleep. In 2000, Uri Geller sued Pokemon over Kadabra, believing Kadabra to have been based on him. This led to Kadabra not being printed in the TCG between 2000 and 2020, and to this day, an Everstone won't prevent Kadabra from evolving. Alakazam's special defense was 135 in Gen 1, 85 in Gen 2, then 95 in Gen 6. Despite Machamp's size, they can lift Graveler and hurl 100 grown men. In Pokemon Yellow, a trainer will trade you a Machoke for a Cubone, and unlike Mindy's Haunter and Sinnoh, this Machoke will actually evolve. It's canon that a fan club of women attracted to Machamp exists, so furries do, in fact, exist within the Pokemon world. Bellsprout is apparently fast while hunting bugs. Weepinbell almost got a split evolution in Gen 2. Those who visit a colony of Victory Bell are said to never return. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there's a secret gift Tentacool in Cyanwood, which you can only get if you have no surfing or flying Pokemon. This was to prevent a softlock that was present in the originals. The Adventures manga has a very interesting panel involving Tentacruel. Like Nidoqueen, Geodude's weight was also incorrect in the originals. It's theorized that Graveler and Machoke swap features when they evolve. Golem likes to sleep upside down and rock themselves to sleep. There was an event Ponyta given out in New York during Gen 2. This Ponyta had Low Kick, a move they couldn't learn until Gen 4. Rapidash can reach their top speed of 150 miles per hour in 10 seconds. In Mystery Dungeon, Slowpoke was in Team Slacker, a zero motivation team. In Gen 3, the only game you can get the Slowbro line is Leaf Green. In Gen 5, there was a Magnemite coiling community. This was basically people trading Magnemite to build their joint avenue. The Magneton heads can separate if they're in deep sleep. Farfetch'd is based on a Japanese proverb, where a duck comes by holding the onion you'll cook it with. Doduo has a scrubbed pre-evolution, who ironically had more heads. Dodrio sleeps standing, with one head still awake. It's rare for all three to sleep. Seal didn't learn a single water move through level up until Gen 4. Dugong have historically been mistaken for mermaids. Grimer has a censored card in the TCG, where Grimer originally seemed like they were looking up a girl's skirt. As found by Zach Toshi, Ash's Mug has a 50-50 win rate. Shelter almost had an evolution based on the one on Slowpoke's tail. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there's a young couple who use Onyx and Cloyster. Ghastly's Japanese name is Ghost, based on, well, Ghost. Mindy's Haunter trade may just be the most hated trade in Pokemon. In Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, it's possible to catch a wild Gengar. With a Gen 3 game in your DS, Gengar will spawn in the Old Chateau. Similar to how Growlithe is a pseudo Thunderstone in Gen 1, Onyx can do the same, but acting as a Water Stone. Drowsy remembers every single dream they eat. Hypno's ability in TCG Pocket may just be the best ability in the game. Even if Hypno is benched, you can flip a coin to put your opponent to sleep. Krabby will cloak themselves in bubbles to look bigger against predators. When Ash used Kingler for the second time in the Indigo League, Misty references Kingler and Cloyster's hit points. There's a theory that Voltorb are Haunter who fused with a Pokeball, with the reason Voltorb explode being the Haunter trying to escape. Electrode is the fastest Gen 1 Pokemon, which gave them a base crit rate of 27% in the Gen 1 games. In the Alola games, there's a trainer who has a shiny Execute. In Executor's older sprites, they used to have more than 3 heads. Cubone's original English name was Orphan. Ouch. Marowak is the only Pokemon who can learn Bone Club and Boomerang. Despite popular belief, Hitmonlee isn't actually based on Bruce Lee. While the English name is, they're actually based on a Japanese boxer, the demon of kickboxing, Tadashi Sawamura. Hitmonchan, though, is likely based on Little Mac, with Hitmonchan's dex number of 107 referencing Little Mac's weight. Nintendo of America once did an April Fool's joke with Lickitung, saying that through a bunch of odd steps, Lickitung could evolve into Luigi. Koffing's Gen 1 sprite incorrectly had their markings on their head. James's wheezing was given to him by Giovanni as a Koffing. For the longest time, Rhyhorn's cry was exactly like Charizard's. You likely know this, but Rhydon was the first Pokemon to be programmed. Chansey got the biggest nerf in Gen 2, losing 70 base special attack. Tangela had both a scrapped pre-evolution and scrapped evolution. It's heavily theorized that Cubone's mother could be Kangaskhan. Cubone with their skull partially removed looks like a baby Kangaskhan. Cubone can call Kangaskhan as an SOS ally in Alola, and it's possible that they were almost in the same evolutionary line. Horsey used to have 2 fins, but now only has 1. Seadra is the only non-poison type to have the ability Poison Point. Goldeen in Smash Bros is likely based on their anime debut. In Gen 1, Waterfall was Seeking's signature move. In Gen 2 only, Staryu had egg moves, despite being a genderless Pokemon. Starmie's name in English is exactly the same as it is in Japanese. Mr. Mime went from having 4 fingers to 5 in Gen 3. This is likely because, in Japan, 4 fingers is associated with the Yakuza. Scyther and their evolutions seemingly have a rock-paper-scissors motif. As revealed in the Terra Leak, Jinx was almost given a Mega Evolution. However, the idea was scrapped due to Jinx's past controversies. But what's funny is we've actually had hints about this for a long time, as Jinx has an unused second cry in Pokemon Home that sounds like a Mega. Electabuzz's finger count was pretty inconsistent early on, originally only having 4 fingers, then 6 in Stadium, to now having 5. Magmar's Beyond the Pokedex episode referenced Missing No. The episode was also an April Fool's Day special. Pinsir has a scrapped Gen 2 evolution that may have inspired Heracross. In Pokemon Go, Tauros are more common in the US than most of the world. The Magikarp in Pokepark 2 believes himself to be the king of Pokepark, even though all he does is splash around. In Gen 2, the red Gyarados can be used to shiny hunt most of the decks. This is because in Gen 2, shininess was tied to your Pokemon's IVs. Ash's Lapras is one of, if not the only character seen aging in the anime. Ditto is catchable in every single Pokemon game except Ruby and Sapphire. Evolution isn't actually a fan term and has been used in official media, being used in the Stadium 2 guidebook and by Pokemon's social media. Did you know that in Yellow, Vaporeon gets Haze and Mist at the same time? But because Pokemon could only learn 1 move at a time in Gen 1, Vaporeon would only learn Haze when leveled up in the daycare.
Oh my.
Blue's Eevee in Yellow will only become Jolteon if you meet 2 conditions. Defeat him in the lab and then again in Route 22. Flareon could not learn Flare Blitz until Gen 6. Really? Porygon may just be the biggest scapegoat in the Pokemon anime.
It was Pikachu who caused the infamous epileptic lights in the anime.
Brawly references Twitch plays Pokemon in the French version of Oras, saying that he discovered true power by staring at a Helix fossil. Speaking of Twitch plays Pokemon, the Pokemon Twitter also referenced it, showing the team Twitch plays Pokemon used to win. The name Kabuto is a real Japanese name, and both the name and the Pokemon are to reference Japanese helmets. In Gen 1, you can catch a Missing No who looks like a skeletal Kabutops, though as you can imagine, the method involves glitching the game. Lance's Aerodactyl in Gold, Silver, and Crystal knows Rock Slide, despite Aerodactyl not being able to learn it in Gen 2. Snorlax is based on Game Freak game designer Koji Nishino. Of the 3 legendary birds, Articuno has the most weaknesses with 4. Zapdos is the earliest legendary in Kanto, only needing 3 badges. In Gen 1, Moltres is programmed to learn Leer and not Fire Blast. For reference, at level 51, Articuno gets Blizzard and Zapdos gets Thunder. Dratini's original English name was gonna be Dragoon. Dragonair's beta design had antennae similar to Dragonite's. Like Lickitung, Dragonite was also said to evolve into a Mario character, this time being Yoshi. And yes, it was also for an April Fool's joke. Mewtwo is seen as a Christian role model by the Church of England, with Mewtwo's character arc in the first movie being seen as
a parable of the pointlessness of force,
and a good example of redemption. In the Japanese dub of the first movie, Mew is, to be frank, a dick.
Oh, did someone say dick?
Mew believed clones to be inferior and that they shouldn't exist. The writer, Takeshi Shudo, even described Mew as violent and unpredictable. And there you have it, folks. One fact about every Kanto Pokémon. How many of these did you know already? Which of these facts was your favorite? Would you also like to live in the timeline where we had Big Booby Pikachu? Let me know in the comments below. And become a member if you're interested. It's only $2 a month. Have a nice day, you wonderful people.
In the English dub. In the English sub.
You're a penis! So long since you've seen yours that you don't even recognize one, do you?